and welcome to another fast man featuring flawless and feather-like footsteps while falling into a fearless fog that folks feel as he runs by. Uncle Gary started training for a 1K and is taking it pretty serious episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And I'm Drew Head.
How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing all right.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. We now have Drew back again, 2 consecutive weeks in a row, so welcome back. He's half awake. Did you have like a big banger last night or something? You're looking rough.
I mean, I stayed up till like 2 a.m., but I also slept until 11:40.
Until an hour ago.
And he had the nastiest looking pizza roll up before the show.
Yeah, ran by Circle K and like, I'm hungry. I should get food.
So disgusting.
It was nasty.
Well, glad to have you, Drew. Sorry you feel like trash. And then, Tom, how are you, sir?
Doing all right.
Yeah? You want to do me a favor?
Yeah, joining us this week in the Days Grimm studio is the White Kenyan, the fastest man in Evansville, Steve Matthews. How are you?
I'm good.
What's up, man?
It's
Round 2. Good to have you back,
it's good to
dude.
be back.
Not going to pass out this
Everybody
episode.
has to stay conscious this time, right?
Yeah, so no blood and guts, all right, guys?
We're actually semi-related, I believe. I think we figured that out after last time.
Did.
Yeah.
Wait, we did?
Well,
That's a question mark.
Steve and I did after.
Oh, I was not a part of that
My
conversation?
uncle's like his cousin or second cousin.
Okay, so is this back-to-back weeks you're related to the guests? No,
I'm not related
2
to
weeks
Drew.
ago.
Yeah.
No, 2 weeks ago, you were related to somehow
Correct.
uncle cousins. I don't know how that worked out still, but glad to have you back, man. A lot has changed since I don't remember when we last saw you. That was like way back when. That was like episode 1.
Might have been 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah, I think.
112 or something like that. 110. It's been a while. We're on like 170 now, I think. So yeah, it's been a minute. So what has changed since we haven't seen you in 2 years?
Yeah, so I changed my career. I was a PE teacher, and now I moved on to the fire department.
Nice.
So that's been a lot of fun.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Dude. Hell yes.
What's that like? Just like we hinted a little bit before the show, but like you're carrying around how much weight extra?
Yeah, so I weigh like 122, 125, and the air pack weighs about 30, and the tool weighs 20 or 30, and then all of our PPE weighs 20 or 30. So I'm looking at almost 200 pounds probably whenever I'm fully decked out.
Oh, like what you weigh in at?
Yeah.
That's like half your weight.
Yeah, the extra
Yeah.
80 pounds getting carried around.
Yeah.
But since then, you've changed your workout routine a little bit.
A little
More
bit.
weights.
The winter, I always change my workout routine. But after I got on and got through probation, which ended in August, my running miles really kicked up through December. And then I got into winter training and focused more on strength and still some running. But yeah, it's really helped me lifting heavier weights. And
these are 12-hour shifts that firefighter.
24-hour shifts.
24-hour shifts, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you work a day, you're off a couple days, you work a day.
So we work a day, 7 a.m. one day to 7 a.m. the next day, and then we're off 24 hours. And we work the next day, 24 hours. We're off 24 hours. We work one more 24-hour shift, and then we're off 4 days.
Oh,
So right now I'm on my 4-day.
That's not bad, but that's got to be hell on your training, like the weeks you're working.
It's not bad because we can train in the station. They have treadmills and weights, and then like the day in between, I can get good running in outside. And the 4-day is really a time to focus on a lot of volume and a lot of training.
Yeah, what was Brian was asking what you did today? He said you got up early. You ran how many miles?
Yeah, 10. I was in the gym this morning because it was a bit chilly, and I like hot weather, so I did 10 miles. I think 250 floors on the Stairmaster, and then 30-minute lift.
You're doing 10 miles on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. There has to be something said about that. That's not okay. I can't
Treadmills
do
are
it.
fun.
Yeah,
it's just
dude,
a tool.
but
It's not
it's
bad.
so boring.
No,
You're
it's
looking
not
at the
bad.
same thing. Are you
Put
doing
on some music.
Are you doing? Yeah, I was gonna say music or podcast or books.
Yeah,
or anything?
podcast, music.
I'm doing this new thing now. This year, I'm trying to read 50 books. Right, I'm on book number 9, so I think I'm still on pace. But so what I've been doing is I'll have the tangible book. Like this week, I'm working on Murder City, and that is by somebody Browning, Charles Bowden. But I'll get the tangible book and start reading it in my time at home or wherever I have time on lunch at work. And then when I'm doing my like shitload of miles on the road, I download the audiobook as well, and I just knock books out like that. which is also still super boring. But I don't know. You run for so long on a treadmill, I just feel like you lose your mind.
Yeah, you play with the buttons.
Yeah.
Change the speed.
Change the
incline.
tilt,
Yeah, exactly.
But it just is so boring. I think the most I've ever done is an hour on a treadmill.
When
I'm like this.
talking about boring, will you pull up his Strava tab? Yeah, we were looking at you haven't posted in a while, and you said you like to keep some of your cards held close to your deck. But like Brian was talking about how like you do these loops and you'll do them like on repeat, and he was like, I could never do that.
Yeah, the 4-H Center, Vanderbilt County 4-H Center, I like to run out there a lot, and it's just a 2-mile loop.
Nice.
And we just repeat that. Yeah, so I haven't recorded anything since the 24th, at least publicly there. So I think sometimes it's good for me just to go silent and just focus on the training and not worry about the noise. That's where I'm at.
Per December 24th, going dark 2024, bye-bye. So that was your last post?
Publicly, yeah.
Publicly? Okay.
But yeah, so I still post, but nobody can see. What's
okay.
happening.
And then you actually won a marathon, didn't you?
Half marathon in Louisville, the Urban Bourbon.
The Urban
So yeah,
Bourbon.
that was the last
That's
race
my
I did.
run. That's my kind of run.
Yeah.
Right? You don't drink a lot at all, though, right? Like
I'll
you're
have
not,
a beer here and there.
but you're not an alcohol guy,
No,
really.
not really.
Okay.
It's just too hard to recover from like a whiskey or.
Yeah, it's a real bitch. To be completely transparent, but that's pretty high speed. The Urban Bourbon, where's that one at?
It's in Louisville.
Louisville.
So it starts in the downtown area and then it goes out to Cherokee Hills Park.
Nice.
And it's super hilly out there.
Yeah.
I'd never run that course before, and I guess it was probably like 4 miles in we got into the hills, and they continued through 10, and I was like, wow.
But more hilly than Audubon?
Well, Audubon's off-road trail, so not to that degree, but they were like really short, steep hills, so they just took your speed from you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your average mile is on Audubon's trails?
My fastest miles are like the Chili Hilly 5K, and they're 6:03 is what I average for that 5K there. But usually, like a good, like moderate difficult pace at Audubon is going to be low 7-minute to mid 7-minute. Easy pace is like 8:30, and then really getting it out there is in the 6s, because you got to think that's the average. You're going down these hills that have 10-15% grade, and they're going back up them, and it's just unforgiving.
Yeah, I tried to do it that 2 days with y'all, and I was like, I'm unprepared.
I hate the modern day hill. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate this hill that I live on. So like anytime I leave for a run from here, it's great leaving because you're gaining a minute on your mile or whatever. So I gain a minute on my mile, just breaking open, warming up, getting going, and I'll go downtown or whatever, and then you're just sucking ass the whole way back from downtown. And then like you're dog tired by mile 9 or 10. And then you're like right in the final mile stretch. And the last mile stretch is like climbing this
You hit that hill right
treacherous.
there.
Oh, Maryland
Yeah.
is the worst because Maryland is just like quarter mile. Sontag and Maryland right here. It's like a quarter mile, if even that. And you have to gain like 130 feet in a less than a quarter mile. It's It's just brutal. And that's a really good way to end a run if you absolutely hate who you are on the inside, like I do.
And then you ran in high school, didn't you?
Yeah.
Just trying to
Yeah, North High
brush here.
School.
You've been running for years.
Shout out to the Huskies.
Yeah, Huskies, the old North High School on Diamond.
Stringtown, baby.
Yep.
Stringtown gang.
Yeah.
Did you ever, have you been to the new campus yet?
Yeah, I've got
Pretty neat.
one of my friends teaches out there, and I used to, whenever I was teaching at Scott a number of years ago, probably 8-9 years ago now, I helped out with the team a little bit. So
Nice. I'm sure they appreciate that because you're a damn stud.
And a lot of the local fire department, not a lot of the local, but like a select few, even from different departments, they all get together and like run.
at the trails, yeah, sure. I've not been down there with them for a bit. I need to get back down there.
They do like Ragnarok and stuff like that.
What kind of wheels are you sporting for trail running?
What do you mean? Oh, as far as kicks?
Yeah.
Sometimes I just wear road shoes.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I like the risk of it. I like living on the edge.
I like the risk of
Yeah, I do. I do.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Which is probably stupid, but it's fun. Like, I love them.
So, because I have a fat body, just because I'm a thick guy, like I'm 200, I recently acquired my first minor injury during all this training. It was tendinosis. Have you ever had that?
I've heard of it. So
Dude.
is that Achilles?
It was right here in the front of my malleolus, and it was it was so damn swollen. I thought I like.
Was that because you were lacing too tight?
No,
Extensor
I think I
tendinitis?
just like something, a tilt or something happened. It was minor enough that like I did 10 miles on it, 9 miles on it, but like finished my run and like it was super swollen. What's the
You ice it afterwards?
yeah, a little bit of rice. Thanks to Sam. Shout out to Sam. He hooked me up and he was like, yeah, just wrap it, ice it, elevated it, and just hung out didn't run for 2 days, but it went right away. It's super nice. No blood and guts, of course, but what's the worst injury you've acquired?
Yeah, so on my right foot, I was running with a buddy one morning. We were just taking off up Buena Vista Road there, and we were on the hill by the country club.
Yeah.
And I was following him, and it was dark, and I had a headlamp and everything, but it was trained on his back. And he looks back to cross over, and I look back at that point to cross over too, just to make sure there's no cars.
Yeah.
And at that moment, my right foot came down, and it hit a pothole. Like the concrete had just caved off.
Yeah.
And my right foot just
Like
snapped over that. And so it led to some midfoot arthritis, and I got a tarsal boss on top of my foot from that.
I remember you talking about that when
I'm
Mr.
still
Freeze was
dealing with
working
that.
on you.
I'm still dealing
So that
with it.
terminated the run. You went
No,
down.
I finished the 10-mile run there, but it like popped, and whenever I got back, I was like, man, because I kind of shook it out a little bit as I was running. I was like, okay, I can finish this run that we just started, but it swelled up, and I had to get some work done on it, and it's still not right. So
Damn, dude.
it's just a freak. It's not like it's one thing if you overtrain and then you overdo it and you don't listen to your body and you hurt yourself, but it's another thing when a freak accident happens and then it's still with you.
Yeah, I got beef with Evansville because our damn sidewalks are crumbling like the fall of Rome. Dude, if you're running, because I don't run on the sidewalk. I run on the road, right? I feel like if you're running for distance, you're not trying to go up and down those pitches and all that stuff, dodging trash cans. So I run on the road, and it's all the time that like I'm butted right up against the sidewalk, that like part of the sidewalk heel or whatever has like eroded away and is just like sitting in the street. I'm like constantly dodging these huge boulders.
Yeah, you got to pay attention, don't you?
So dumb. Yeah, I hate it. But short of that, we're going to get into some more running stuff. But you've been on the show before, and you're a little familiar with the little treat that we do called the Death of the Week, right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to get good.
Who you guys got this week?
This week, actually, Drew, if you would be so kind as to spin it up.
The Death of the Week.
This week's Death of the Week. Here we go. Is this the right one, Tom? Are we looking at the right thing? Okay. This week's Death of the Week per NBCnews.com. And this was written, I can't tell. There's no date here. 2024. Okay. This is like a week old. Here we go. Kelvin Kiptum, marathon world record holder, dies at age 24. World Athletics just last week ratified the world record he set last year at the Chicago Marathon, 2 hours, 35 seconds. Okay, here we go. So scrolling through, looks like, is that his name? Nairobi, Kenya, a marathon world record holder. Oh, wait, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's where he's from. Sorry. Marathon world record holder Kevin Kiptum, who was set to be a superstar of long-distance running, was killed along with his coach in a car crash in Kenya late Sunday. Kiptum was 24. World Athletics and International Track Federation had just last week ratified the world record he set last year at the Chicago Marathon. Kiptum, who was Kenyan, and his Rwandan coach, Gervais Hakizimana, doing my best here, were killed in the crash at around 11 p.m. Another Kenyan athlete, Milka Kemos, confirmed their deaths to the Associated Press. She was at the hospital mortuary where the bodies were taken and had seen Kiptum's body, she said. The crash happened on a road between the towns of Eldoret and Kaptagat in the western parts of Kenya, in the heart of the high altitude region that's renowned for its training base for distance runners. She said she went to the hospital with other athletes and members of Kiptum's family. After hearing the news, the family members were there to identify Kiptum's body. Damn. I think, do we just cut it there? This is getting sadder by
But I was
the
going to
minute.
say, like, when a like fast
there's a-
runner dies in the community, like you already knew about
I
this
knew
story.
it. Yeah, like 5 minutes after it happened.
Scroll down just a little bit. I think that's scroll down just a little more. This is a picture of Kipton here. Yeah, Kipton.
But how in tune do you think you stay in with like some of the world's fastest
Brutal.
runners?
So I saw that, and I looked over at my wife, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know this guy, but I'm like slightly crushed because I'd followed his meteoric rise as a distance runner, and he was going to be in the Olympics. He was a hopeful for the Olympics versus Kipchoge, who has the second fastest marathon times. But at the Chicago Marathon last year, he set that record. And, I watched that moment, and I knew some people that were in the marathon and that, got to celebrate that day and that time with him. And it's crushing. It really is, because the amount of work that goes to be at that level and the amount of talent and the genetic potential he has too is just phenomenal.
How do you run a marathon in 2 hours?
I
There's
think that
just
pace
no way.
equates, and you'd have to check me, but I think it's a 4:31 mile.
How is that possible?
It's a mixture of hard work, genetic talent, and clear motivation to get it done. I think I read that his training block, that his peak week was over 150 miles,
Sheesh. God dang.
which would equate to probably 18 to 20 hours of running
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah, roughly. My God. I mean, 2 hours and 34 seconds, I believe, is the record in Chicago now. What does it mean to have a record ratified? I don't know what that
That means
word-
confirmed.
Okay.
So when a record takes place, they have to make sure that the distance was correct and make sure that the drug tests come back and there's no
nicotine.
Yeah, no performance enhancing drugs used.
Yeah,
et
no
cetera,
nicotine
so.
specifically. That's what they're really watching out for. during
Yeah, do we
these
have that
marathons.
tab pulled up?
Yeah, can you pull up this chain smoking Asian man? We were talking about this a little bit before the show. No, that's not. Where's he at? Where is he at? Is this the one? No.
It'll be in the
Let me
message.
find it.
Damn, where'd it go? So, anyways, in short, while Drew's pulling this up for us, essentially there's this guy, this Asian gentleman somewhere in a course in the world somewhere. He was running a marathon, and it might be in the Days Grimm, sir. But he's running this marathon just chain smoking Marlboro Reds the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Stud.
I wouldn't try it. I can get it done.
I mean, how do you, no, I think we're struggling to find it, man. Now I can't. There he
There
is.
he
There
is,
he is.
yep.
Here we go. 50-year-old runner.
He's got the dragons.
Here, hold on. Yeah, 50-year-old
Born in
runner.
Year of the Dragon.
He completes Chinese marathon in under 3.5 hours while chain smoking cigarettes. Smoking Uncle Chin that's his name, Uncle Chin, smoking Uncle Chin as he runs in Xing Ajang Marathon. Xin Ajang Marathon. I don't know. That's wild. But I just can't imagine. And he did that in 3 hours.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
pretty damn
do you
good.
think he's sponsored by a cigarette company or
Dude,
what's
if not, they need to.
smoke these cigarettes.
Camel
You'll
needs
run
to reach
faster.
out.
I wonder if it has how many cigarettes he
Said he chain
went
smoked
through.
them.
How many to get?
Like how many packs?
Look at him
Look at-
lighting.
he's got the.
And look at his register number. He's like way ahead of this guy. He like the race dropped and he registered too. He was like on it and in it, ready to go. The first 1,000.
Just so he can help combat fatigue.
Helping with fatigue.
I'll tell you what though, like caffeine in a weird way. Like when I'm really dragging balls and I know that I need to get through the next hour of my day or 2 hours of my day doing something monotonous, nicotine gets you right there. If you can get nicotine and caffeine together, he was probably hitting some gels. You know what I mean?
So you think he had like a Monster Energy drink in his back pocket?
Probably,
too?
dude.
Okay.
Probably, dude.
That's
You
my
know,
type
packing.
of guy.
he's like
He-
he's shotgunning Red Bulls.
He apparently only smokes when he's running marathon,
Okay.
which is
So he has otherwly healthy lungs. It's just
Just
the marathon combats the negative effects of the cigarettes. So
I don't think that's how that works.
and then if we go back to the second tab, the other tab that you had pulled up, I want to see if Steve knew this guy.
Henry
Oh,
Rono.
Henry Rono,
Mhm.
world breaking distance runner from Kenya. Did
you know about this guy?
This fella?
I know the name, and yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete.
Apparently, he couldn't like run or walk until he was like over the age of 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had polio.
Oh wow, no, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was polio. He had a leg injury, but
It's basically, it's whatever. It's kind of like polio. He, gruesome injury to his right leg when he was a toddler, but went on to break 4 world records in just 81 days in 1978.
then died of an unknown illness. But still, like,
Probably COVID.
I don't know, but it's like interesting, just all these different, like the running community and how varied their training is, or like what obstacles they have to overcome.
Why is that? Do you know much? Well, you probably know a lot of runners. Have you met many famous runners at these marathons, like the bigger ones like Boston, Chicago?
You're beating Kenyans at some of these.
No, probably not.
No, not in your age group.
No, man, I'm probably just a decent local runner.
Oh, you're probably the most decent I've ever
A
met.
decent local runner. That's it.
They're
But
just running 12 miles straight about under 6 minutes is just mind boggling to me.
it's pretty insane. How much do you think weight factors into that?
Running big time. I mean, yeah. Like, so they have, and I'd like you to try this at some point, which is not technology that's easily accessible because it's so expensive, but they have a machine called the Alter G, and it lets you run and takes weight off of you. Like,
Oh,
so
no,
it
Sean,
uses-
it
yeah,
like balloons around you.
yeah. So
I think
you
my
could run
parents
with
have one of
reduced body weight. Yeah. So your friends have one of those?
That my parents do. It's
Mhm.
like hook it onto the treadmill and it has like bungee.
Yes.
things,
Yeah. So it lets you reduce your body weight by say 30%, 50%. If you could feel like what it felt like to run at a lightweight versus a heavier weight, it's quite amazing. You just
Oh, I
like a
bet.
single stride and you're just like in the air
Gone.
flying. Yeah.
Well,
so-
and the thing that bums me out is that I really take pride in my strength in my quads and my hamstrings. Like
That's a tough thing.
I love
Yeah.
leg day. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think I would enjoy in the future when I'm done with this race, which I do want to talk about the Marine Corps Marathon. When I'm done with this race, I think I do want to get into like sprinting and shorter running. That way I can have that muscle and have that lean body mass, but also still be pretty decent. at running.
Steve was saying you run a higher risk to injury on shorter distance sprints.
Yeah, for sprinting, for sure.
Speaking of sprinting, are we doing this after the pod?
I don't know. My legs feel horrible.
What are you, some kind of pussy?
But also, like, how much do you think height factors into it? Brian's shorter than you, so your stride's going to be
Oh,
longer.
yeah, I mean the leg is like a lever, so it just depends though, because some guys, a distance runner, I read an article that said that the ideal height for a distance runner was like 5'5", 5'6", 115 to 118 pounds. But there's really tall distance runners too. They have a longer lever, and if they're light, then they can propel themselves. Their cadence is going to be a little slower because they're moving a longer lever.
A longer distance, yeah.
Whereas a shorter guy his cadence is going to be higher, but he's moving less weight. So it's just it's so personal. But
It's all variables. There was a
Yeah.
guy that used AI to help him do a study on like different variables of like ranges you have to reach into to get into the NBA.
Mhm.
And he said every inch after 6 foot is like a 20% increase that you'll be like, if you play basketball, you could make it to the NBA.
Oh yeah, dude. There's like 7'3" Russian cats that can't speak English, and they're like, "We don't care. Get in here." Donlovsky, get in here, dude. You know what I mean? Just play center. Just put your hands up.
this is my thing though. Like if you look online, like Instagram and stuff, you'll see like a guy named Nick Barr, and he can deadlift like 500 pounds and then go run a 5-minute mile. Like that is an insane amount of strength.
That's what I want.
I think he weighs like you have to check me, but 180, 190. He's a bigger dude, lots of
Yeah.
muscle mass, and he can deadlift that and he can run that fast. That's an absolute beast.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That's like that guy, Cam.
Cam Patterson.
No, not Cam Patterson. He's a comedian. The Cameron Haynes that does like that training where they like people go out there, they run, shoot, lift.
Oh,
Or
I
they
like
go
that
out there and they
stuff,
run
yeah.
and they carry like an 80-pound rock up a cliff, and then they like run back down and then they shoot guns. or
Yeah,
whatever.
super high heart rate. You're at like 170, 180, and then you have to learn to control your chest and your breathing enough to be able to focus at something, and then also stop the shaking. You know what I mean?
Do you record yourself when you run?
I have here and there for stride mechanics, so I could see like if I need to make some changes. And it's been helpful actually, because at one point I was overstriding and kind of landing with my foot plantar flexed, and I noticed I had some calf strain, so I fixed that, and then I didn't have that injury or that.
And you do that mainly on a treadmill, right?
You could do treadmill or outside too, because you could put it in slow motion.
So how hard is that when you diagnose something like that. You're like, oh, I'm coming in hot, plantar flexed. I need to focus more, like emphasized downward heel, basically. How hard is that? Like when you go on the next run where you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. Does it take away from anything where you're like, I need to pay attention where my foot and where my leg is when I strike? Does that?
Yeah, because if you start focusing on one thing, then all of a sudden your form could suffer in another area too. But if you view running not as just fitness, but as a skill, then you start to see that all those form cues are extremely important, and they'll help you keep from getting injured too if you can run in the correct way for your body.
Yeah. That's true, man. And I don't know how I did my tendinosis thing on my ankle. I don't know what happened because nothing significant happened. But it's true, man. Like if you're not like very, very careful and acute on what it is you're doing, you can, I don't know. I guess you could just sprain your ankle pretty easily. I would assume if you're logging a whole bunch of miles.
Steve actually knows some people doing that marathon.
MCM.
Well, I know a guy, local, really good athlete that has done that marathon. I don't know if he's doing it again this year, but Dave Eckert, he's a local ultra marathoner, and he did it last year. So
I need to find this
he
guy.
may be a good contact.
Is he
for you.
older than us?
Yeah, I think he's in his early 50s.
Oh, and he's still getting after it?
Yeah.
Shit,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
He did like Tunnel Hill 100 last year, and I mean, he's a beast. He runs long distance.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I have severe lack of. I just run for fitness. I've never ran like organized ever. I've only done like 2 races my entire life. I don't have like anything under my belt.
So on these running things, are you allowed headphones?
Depends. So it depends. Like whenever you sign up for a race, they'll say whether they allow you to wear headphones or not. I typically don't wear headphones when I race. I like to just live in the moment and just focus on what I'm doing, pay attention to what my body's saying. But some of the races do not allow it, especially if it has a winning prize. Or if you're trying to qualify for Boston, sometimes they don't allow it. Sometimes you have to check the details on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the triathlon, they said no music, and I was like, man, that really hurts my
With
goat.
the try, it's so much more difficult though. You're like, you have bags at points, and then it's like, okay, you're getting out of this wet water, and now I'm going to be. I mean, it's just not an ideal scenario.
I mean, yeah, I feel like running's the same. Like running in a crowd would be the same as biking in a crowd.
Yeah, the couple races I've done, you were allowed to do headphones, but you're not like qualifying for anything. So, not at least that I was aware of. I was just doing it to do
Like the Evansville half, not last year, but the previous year, I wore headphones because I knew I'd just get bored out there. So I just wore.
You've seen the same city 1,000 times.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, it's like
I know
boring.
the course.
How hard is it for like when you sign up for this half marathon in Louisville to learn the course? Like if I believe the 4th tab is the course of Brian's.
Oh yeah,
marathon.
can you pull that up? And that's also tacking on his question, just like homework in general for a race. What does that look like for you? A place maybe you've never been, let's say Spokane, Washington or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like the Louisville Urban Bourbon, I just made sure to ask if there was going to be cyclists like for the leader, and there was a cyclist for the leader, so I just followed him. Now, there are some times where you get led the wrong way or something happens on the course and a volunteer points the wrong way. I ran a race, a little 5K, and I was following the pace car and they took me the wrong way. And the volunteers were telling me to go one way and I followed the pace car, so I had to make
Son of a
a
bitch.
U-turn. So
Can we fire that guy?
it's all right.
Fuck,
but
dude, tighten up. You got one job.
it
You got one job,
it happens, man.
Dude, the pace cars can mess people up too, because like you see the pace cars in like the cyclist races, and then like each team has like a separate car, and they're
Oh,
like
yeah.
accidentally hitting cyclists and
Have
shit.
you seen these before?
Mhm.
Dude, and like the body pile up is just gnarly. They like, if one dude eats shit, like here come 20 more.
It's just, you see it a lot in motocross too, but like cyclist like competitions are just like
because like Tour de France is what, like
1,000 plus.
1,000 plus miles.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, and you've got all these guys going 30 miles an hour
But
for
it's-
1,000 miles. Like
Mhm.
you cannot have a hiccup. Like those bikes are so lean and fragile. Like you're going down. You're going down hard.
But for this one, you shouldn't have any problems. They'll have the course marked, and there'll be people around you. The issue can come if you're leading the race by enough time. There's no one else,
Oh,
no
I'm
other
in the back.
runners.
I'm in the back, Daddy.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
won't be leading the race. I'll be way in the back.
Yeah. If you have a big enough lead and you go the wrong way, you could always backtrack and then still.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still win.
Yeah.
If you're Steve Matthews.
If it's a local race.
Yeah, somebody jokes that like when you show up, some people go home.
I don't know about that. If it's a local race.
Like if it's like the guy who thinks he's gonna win, he's like, "Yeah, dude, Steve's on vacation. I'm the next fastest. I'm ready, dude. He's been training his butt off. His mile times are down." And then Steve shows up. I'm out.
How many people from other areas that like you go to the bourbon race in Louisville? How many like new Strava followers do you think you get from these?
Yeah,
places?
I got quite a few because I talk to the finishers and congratulate them on a good race, and we talk about the course and the conditions at the finish line.
Yeah,
and maybe I don't know. Well, yeah, you get 20 or 30 new followers sometimes, but it's not about that. It's not about that though. Everybody completes a course and it's a half marathon, so it's a huge accomplishment no matter what place you get in. But people do get curious how you train, and so that's sometimes why I go silent on Strava, because I like to think about my own training and not think about how others are perceiving my training.
yeah. Keep it proprietary. You know what I mean? Keep it close.
Yeah. So transparency in training. A lot of top athletes do share their training. Some don't. I like to go back and forth on it, try different things.
No, that's fair.
What I know you're a Garmin fan. Have you tried any other smart tech like the Whoop app
I've
or
heard
anything
Coros
like that?
is pretty good, and Whoop has something for cycling, right?
Well, I know Whoop is mainly a lot of people that are doing Whoop is for like they want to monitor their recovery process. I know that Whoop, like their recovery tracking, is supposed to be like top tier compared
yeah, it's
to
good for alcoholics. You know what I mean? It tells you your oxygen levels, your hydration levels, and stuff like that. So
This Garmin does like body battery. So when you sleep, it'll track your sleep cycles and how well you slept, and then also I think all that factors into your training recommendations for the next day. So I think these are fairly accurate as far
which
as
one do you have out of
This
curiosity?
is what is it, 635 Phoenix?
Because there's like so many Garmins when I look.
the Phoenix
them up.
6S Pro Solar.
Phoenix. Okay, 6S. I was looking into it because the Apple Watch is fine. I mean, it's a few $100s. I have the Ultra. It's been pretty good to me so far, but like there are some serious tech out there that you could be using that is like way deeper than the Apple Watch. It is mind-boggling when I looked into it because Sam and I were talking about it, Samuel Rice, and I was like, I don't know if I want to cough up $2,000 for a watch, but
You can buy like a lightly used one. I bought this one half price and it was lightly used. It was
Yeah.
$1,000 watch I got for like 500.
damn, that's not bad. That might be worth checking out. But damn, I know where I wanted to go from that. We were talking about learning the tracks, and then so the Marine Corps Marathon, which is a confusing name because it's a 50K, so it's 31 miles, I think.
31.1, yep.
Yeah, so technically it's an ultra, and you've never done an ultra, right?
No, I've done trail marathons and I think I've ran close to that distance. Definitely ran that distance in a day multiple times.
Yeah, you're
But,
gonna
like
do
in
24 today, I think, 26 today.
probably not that many today. Maybe tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's Sunday, man. It's a day of rest.
Yeah, this
Like,
is
yeah, I can't decide if I'm gonna run a marathon today.
Dude, it's insane.
That's part of it. That's part
That's
of
so
training.
insane.
Like, let me say this real quick. When you run enough, you start to really listen to your body, and you know this
Yeah.
fine line where you're building fitness or you're pushing a little too much.
You're
now,
braking,
the
yeah.
devices show you a lot of that, but after a while, you learn that yourself.
Yeah.
And I know there's days where I push so hard where if I add another half-mile run, I won't be recovered enough to do anything the next day.
Yeah.
So it's all about cumulatively building that fitness and not just taking too much of yourself any one day,
Yeah.
building it.
So going on to the Marine Corps Marathon, which again is a shitty name because for the 50K, I guess it's just what they call the whole day of the event is the Marine Corps Marathon. They do a 5K, a half, a marathon, and then this 50K. But anyways, running distance is intriguing to me and I enjoy it, but I have like some pretty serious questions for when it comes to running distance. So for you don't think you've ever ran 30 miles in one stint? Not organized.
Actually,
obviously.
I think Dave Eckert and I, we covered over at Tunnel Hill, we covered close to 30 miles in one stint.
So you have. So what does, and let's just talk about running long distance past a marathon distance for anyone that's interested in ultras. What about, I want to talk about pooping. What's that look like? Preparation? Do you ever get like, because you wake up, you don't just wake up and do 30 miles. Like, you don't just wake up and like, oh, I'm going to knock out 30. Like, you plan it. Like,
Yeah, drink some coffee.
Yeah, you know
that'll
what I mean?
help you.
You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
wake up and you've already planned, like today Dave and I are going to meet up and we're going to go knock out 28, 29, 30 miles. Do you get like a nervous poop before your run?
Before races, for sure.
You get a nervous poop?
Yeah.
Is it like the nervous
It's
poop?
not just one, it's probably 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, he's
yeah.
dropping bombs over Baghdad,
Not,
dude.
yeah, I mean, the body, whenever it knows, the mind knows, and you've been preparing for this, and my body seeks to empty itself pretty well.
Yeah.
So then I'm even lighter, which is probably a weird
100%.
sensation.
So
but
you're not like smashing a bunch of Indian food the night before to clean the
no,
bowels.
and that's the thing. Like as far as preparation, like the nutrition that goes into a race week and having a good race day, that's all important. And like, so a lot of people say, well, eat a big meal the night before. I say no, eat well that lunch the day before.
Yeah.
Eat well that lunch, because that gives your body enough time to process
Cycle.
all that food.
Yeah.
So then
'Cause
hopefully by the next morning,
total
you're,
gestation in the stomach and to the colon is 8 hours or something?
is that what it is?
From stomach to exit? I don't know what it is.
God bless
So
him.
if
Thank
you're,
you.
say you're eating
I think
late
it's
at
roughly
like
8 hours.
8 o'clock the night before a race, and then you're going to sleep.
You got
get
it
all that-
hanging. It's hanging low, dude.
Yeah, and so
It's not just in there. It's like it's ready to be out. You're gonna have a problem.
Yep. So I would do like actually Chipotle does pretty well for me, that the lunch like 11 o'clock, 11:30 the day before race, and then the night before I'll just eat something really simple, and I'll often take food with me from my house with me and eat it the night before, because if I eat at a restaurant in a city I don't know, and that's a recipe for getting sick.
After you eat, it takes about 6 to 8 hours for food to pass through your stomach and small intestine, so i.e. the colon. So it's at the end of the tract. Food then enters your large intestine. Oh, sorry, no. So from small to large, and then to your colon, further digestion. Bada bada ba. And this is all per the Mayo Clinic. So legitimate source. So yeah, about 6 to 8 hours. Like, I mean, you should really be. And I've heard a lot of folks will. And then I have one more pooping question after we start talking about the pre-race prep. But a lot of folks are doing like a 10-day. Like they will train normally all the way up until about like 10 days from a race.
You're talking about tapering?
Yeah, like they'll
Okay.
train normally until a week and some change before the race, and then they change their training changes drastically. Like so minimalistic, so little of mileage and hours on the road. What does yours look like?
So
Like-
so it depends on the build, and by build we mean like how many weeks you were building that for that race
To lead to that race. I
yeah,
got you.
and it also depends on the distance. For a 5K, like the taper is 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, it's
For
so
a
short.
10K, 3 to 4 days. For a half marathon, I do a 1 week taper.
7 day.
Yeah, 7 day. Maybe if I'd really been training hard into that half marathon, then I'm going to make it maybe 9 days. If I didn't cut back the week before as far as mileage.
Yeah.
And for marathon, I'll shoot for like 2.5 weeks.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. As far as taper, that doesn't really include diet. That includes the movement and the running.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But okay, so then let's talk diet. So how far out from a race do you like start cognitively?
Thinking about what I'm eating.
Yeah, what, how much, when?
Yeah, 4 days out,
4
and then
days out.
3 days out, I don't eat meat anymore, which is probably a weird thing. But meat and nuts are the two types of foods that are the hardest to digest in the GI tract, so it takes the most energy. A lot of people don't think about all the energy required to digest food,
It's a
but
lot.
I've read that it takes about 230 calories to digest a meal. So if you think about all the energy required to digest a meal, well, that's energy you don't want to be using right now because you're trying to store energy. So I try to make my food simpler and simpler the closer I get
Are you
to the
doing
race.
like rice and noodles? Like
Yeah,
simple
simple.
carbs.
The closer I get to the race, the simpler the food becomes. And
Okay.
during the race, the food is so simple, it's sugar alone.
Really?
goose.
You're just doing
Goose or honey or dates.
you don't
or
do solid food.
maybe a banana before the race, the morning before.
You like
but-
dates?
What?
You like dates?
Yeah, I'll eat dates.
Do you ever do like just like a liquid only fast or like a dry fast?
So that's what I was going to say. The night before, sometimes I'll just do liquid too.
Really?
Mm.
So just water and
A smoothie.
waters and smoothies.
Smoothie, yeah. So I'll mix like oats with almond milk, with strawberries, with honey.
Oh, so like kind of still semi-solid. I mean, you have some solids going in there as far as oats, and
But
stuff
they're
like
already
that.
like processed. So
I guess, yeah.
then your body doesn't have to work super hard to.
Yeah, it just puts it down. And I want to touch on pooping one more thing. And this is kind of a question for the whole crew. And I've been meaning to bring this up for like a month and a half. This is a big deal to me.
Is this the like diarrhea question you asked like at the beginning of the show?
No, this is much more pertinent. So on the racing front, have you ever had to poop during a race? Is question A, 2-part question. And then question B that pertains to the whole group. Am I the only one that holds my breath when I wipe my butt? All right. So during race day, have you ever had to poop during a race?
No.
Okay. Now for the whole group, including you, Steve, am I the only one that's holding my breath when I wipe my? I'm the only one.
Yes.
I don't.
It's not that scary.
I don't think I pay attention that much when I'm wiping my butt.
It's every time for me. It's weird.
Gotcha. I think I'm becoming like, as I age, like I already have like IBS, so like red sauce upsets my stomach, and like spicy foods or whatever. But like now, I think I'm becoming like lactose intolerant as I age. Like I had like chicken Alfredo the other day, and my stomach was wrecked for like 2-3 days.
Shattered.
Yeah, it was god
Do you
awful.
have any weird like food things that you just have allergies? Or
Yeah, I
things you
do.
have to stay-
Melted yellow cheese.
No way.
It's really weird, man.
Like
yeah.
Kraft singles, so like no grilled cheese.
It's the cheap stuff that's in the package. And
Yeah.
if it's slightly melted or melted over, say, a salad or whatever,
Can you eat it raw? Like
I can eat it raw,
out of the package?
But if it's melted and then I go exercise within a 2 to 5 hour window, I will break out in hives.
No
wow.
way.
Yeah,
That is so strange.
they called it exercise-induced anaphylaxis. And they did like a food kind of allergy test on me, and they couldn't figure out what it was. But I know what it is because every time I have that
Isn't that
happens.
so weird?
It's really weird.
It's so weird how
Yeah.
like if you just listen to your body and like you can know your body better than like a doctor would. Be like, I don't know, you're weird.
It's like a crazy thing to think about though, because like Mexico, like I had bronchitis, and after bronchitis, I had a lower respiratory infection, and like both times I went to the doctor, I was like, yeah, I need steroids and antibiotics, or but in Mexico you can just go to like CVS and be like, hey, I need steroids and antibiotics, and you can buy it. But here it's like, no, you got to go see somebody.
It's wild. And then also you mentioned during race, and this you'll like this question. During race, you're doing the gels, the goos. Is that the brand you use, Goo?
Yeah, I could use goo or.
Have you done the stingers?
I haven't done those, but I did use a Martin gel. Those were
The
really
black and
good.
white ones?
Yeah,
They're
those were.
crazy expensive.
Yeah,
though.
they're super expensive.
no flavor.
No flavor, but I felt really good using
Really?
those. Yep, I use them on some training runs.
How
Nice.
big do you run with those packs, like the water
I
bottle
have some-
packs?
no,
You have a
No.
belt.
no, just little pockets in my shorts.
Have you ever done a belt?
No, I don't want one of those.
You don't like the flopping and
No,
stuff?
yeah, no.
You do run really fast. I'm
Yeah, it's
much
just-
slower than you, so it's not quite as drastic for me. So I have like a camelback. I have a camelback belt, and it snugs really tight up to your body. It's really nice. You tuck a beanie away. You can tuck. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. It's like if you're ultra training, it's ideal because like you can pack multiple things with you. But like I've not gone. I'm looking into a vest like Samuel uses. Rice. We've been talking about that. But during intra training, like intra race day, you're just doing the gels. That's it. Water and gel. Are you mixing the gels into water bottles, or you
I just take them straight.
just eating the gel straight?
And the rule typically is every 40 minutes.
I've heard half hour.
Yeah, half hour, every 40 minutes, depending. And during ultras, like really long ultras, they'll try to consume like 300 to 500 calories an hour.
Mhm.
So because they're going to be like more in a zone 2, zone 3 stage.
Slow.
When I'm racing, I'm going to be like in almost a threshold stage. So like straight sugars, like to keep that speed up, you just have to.
What's your
consume.
heart rate at that point?
Like for a half marathon, I'll run 175 to 178,
Jesus fucking
What's your resting heart rate?
like 38. So it'll get real cranky.
49 is a good day for me.
Does your so like my watch will tell me like when I sleep sometimes it'll be like your heart rate got too low. Does yours ever give you like
it doesn't do that, but it shows like the resting heart rate.
Yeah, he's 39.
That's like
NBD.
average.
That's insane to me. Like I don't know what mine is right now. I'm probably in the 60s or high 50s, but just where I hover. But on a good day, I'm like low 50s, high 40.
But if you're going to get into like long ultra marathons and you're going to stay in that zone 2, zone 3, you can eat solid foods, and you'll probably will need to eat solid foods. If you're running for 10 and 12 hours, man,
dude, I know. This is so weird, and I only mentioned the pooping thing because like I've been on runs like 10-mile runs, 13-mile runs, just training runs where like I'm halfway through, I'm like, I have to shit all of a sudden. Like now I got to like pull off somewhere, decrease my heart rate, settle down. Yeah. And then I like walk into a licks and I'm like, hey,
gonna pull up your bathroom. Gonna go
can I drop this payload off real quick? Because I'm on a mission right now.
That was a weird part when we were training for the triathlon. And I was biking crazy long distance, and like you get to like mile 20. And even if you go over 20, you got to poop, and then you got to get back on the bike. Like one, getting off the bike and not feeling your legs is already a little awkward to poop. But then like when you finally poop and then you sit back on the bike, it's like a weird, uncomfortable.
I did a test the other day, though, because I'm worried about nutrition, short of gels. I've trained with gels, and I'm comfortable with gels. Cliff recently stopped making their gels, and I'm very upset with them about that because they were my go-to. So now I'm using the Stingers. They are not my favorite. The flavor is just like honey, and I fucking hate honey. But it's like all the studies read that honey is the best thing. You know,
yeah, you can put honey in little packets and make them yourself.
I feel good doing it. Yeah, but you miss the aminos and all the other stuff. Some of them come with caffeine and stuff like that. But
on that, what I do, like, so I don't take a lot of. I'll do like coffee before a race, and then maybe a gel at the start line. But
like a single coffee, like 60 to 100 milligrams caffeine.
Probably 150 milligrams.
Okay, so like a double or triple shot or something.
Yeah. But then don't take coffee gels to start the race, but then as you get farther into the race, closer and closer, like to halfway in the finish, add some with caffeine.
So who are you using for caffeine?
I'll just use the goo. Like,
they have some.
Yeah, they have some. Yeah, the espresso gel I think is the highest with 100, and then I think their vanilla bean has 40.
You don't ever worry about your caffeine intake?
Like in a race?
Yeah.
No.
What's the most you think you've ever taken in milligram wise, caffeine wise during a race?
During a race?
During a marathon specifically, 20.
During the Flying Pig, I probably took in a couple hundred, maybe.
That's
and it was
nothing.
all right. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Few hundred. I think the highest they recommend that you take in within a certain amount of time is 450 milligrams.
Yeah, I think I read that about somewhere. A day.
Yeah, like on my average day with coffee, an energy drink at lunch. I love those Alani News.
I know they're so good.
They're so good.
Yeah, they're so fucking good. But like, yeah, I'll do a coffee in the morning, a Alani New at lunch. And then if I'm training, if I have gels with caffeine, but that's like all my caffeine for the day. So I'm at like 2, 4, like 500, 600 if I'm training with caffeine. If not, like usually 400 a day.
You ever train without caffeine?
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, so as I'm going closer to races with long runs, I try to do a lot of my runs fasted, only water, no coffee, no gels, nothing. Fasted.
Just dry.
Yeah. So then I'll eat the night before, but then I won't eat anything the morning of. I'll just go into it fasted, depleted, and I'll run hard.
Sounds fucking terrible.
So as I get closer to the race, then I'll practice adding in a few, and I'll notice how much better I feel.
Do you know? Okay, so do you notice on some of those depletion runs you're doing, going really hard and going fast and long and hard? Do you notice cramping being an issue?
Yeah, and you run through it.
Fucking God, you're a savage.
Yeah, you try to run through it.
Jeez.
Because that's the thing. Like, so my theory is like one reason we cramp. Well, we need
water.
We need water and nutrients, but also it's because you're trying to do something your body isn't yet ready for. Yeah. So how do you harden the body to what it's not ready for? You give it that and get it adjusted to that, so then it will hopefully adapt and overcome that.
You ever have like a mustard packet for cramps? Or
and pickle juice too.
You do that in a race?
Pickle juice would be if you're cramping really bad. They say it helps you because the cramp actually originates in the mouth. Something like this. It's directly tied to the muscle system in some weird way.
Okay.
But yeah, I've cramped, and most of the time it was I was trying to do something that my body wasn't prepared for because I hadn't trained it to handle what it was trying to do.
What's your off season look like, or do you not have an off season?
Yeah, so that's what I just progressed into on Strava. I finished up last season December 24th. In my last week there of training, I hit 120 miles. And then I de-escalated down into what I call a strength cycle. And so
that's your name for it? Like, or did you get that?
I just call it a winter strength cycle.
Oh, strength cycle.
Strength cycle.
String. Okay.
So last year I got 4,091 miles. And then that was an average 6:37 pace. That's my best year I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
During Fire Academy, which was really cool because
You're beating your body up.
Yeah,
in
in Fire Academy for 4 months.
Yeah,
So then I'd go out after Fire Academy and run 10 to 12 miles. And it was like then we go to the Fire Academy the next day. It's like,
is there ever a month where like you still run, but it's more so like Muslims do like Ramadan? So is there ever like a month where you just like hardcore fast and just like cleanse your body?
I'm not so big into fasting because my premise is to fast, you actually have to have some sort of resources in your body that can sustain you. And I carry such a low body fat, like I don't think it's healthy for me. I don't think there's enough like energy stored within me to sustain me for any amount of time.
Because in your on season, we talked last time before I passed out that you get that into like 4% body fat.
Yeah, even now, like I'm at 3.5.
That's not like that's not like healthy to walk around at.
It isn't, and I'd like to
change
change that, but my body's conditioned to be kind of.
When I'm sure your nutrition and stuff still meets those requirements that your body actually needs, so that way you're not going into that shock.
So I have a good question. Do you think? How old are you again?
36.
36. Do you think you'll ever, and you've been doing races and marathons and half marathons, running in general, actively and competitively for how long?
Gosh, since I was like 5.
Since you're 5?
5 or 6,
So
yeah.
essentially your whole life. So 30 years, and change. Do you think there will ever be a phase, like let's say you turn 40 and you're like, man, I'm tired. Like, do you ever think you'll like, we talked a little bit about you, like, would you do the MCM? And you're like, oh, yeah, I could probably do that. I could probably hit that or whatever. Do you think there'll ever be a phase where you're like, I'm done with 3% body fat, 4% body fat?
And I don't know. That's a good question.
I'll throw a little weight on, throw on, 4% body fat or something and start thinking about doing like long distance.
Oh, long stuff?
Long, 100 miles. Would you ever consider transitioning into a totally different field? And I only ask that because I feel like some of the things one of the things that makes it so great about being human is that we can like learn a new craft. You can just suck at anything you want for however long you want, and how like adamant you are about taking it seriously proves how well you progress through said new thing or whatever. If you want to learn to play guitar, if you want to do this, you want to do that. Like, would that be something you could see Steve Matthews transitioning to? Like, I'm done with marathons. I've won a few. I've got trophies. I've got medals.
Yeah, so I hit all my goals for my time goals. I wanted to be 15 minutes in the 5K, half marathon under an hour 10, marathon under 2:30. Like for a sub-elite runner, someone that's just into it, enjoying it.
I would consider you elite for the area. I mean, you're fast.
I mean, I guess our area considers elite like 240 would be kind of the running groups around here think that's elite. I don't think that's elite. I don't even think that's close to elite.
Yeah.
I don't think 2:30 is elite.
Yeah.
I would say the Olympic qualifying time for the marathon is elite.
Yeah.
Or sub-elite, which is 2:18 is the B qualifying mark. The A qualifying mark is a 2:08:10, 2:08:15.
Okay.
So those are real elite times.
Yeah.
I guess within our context, I'd be a pretty good athlete.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I hit my goals. Those were the goals I had when I started on this journey when I turned 29 or 30. So yes, I would like to go to the really long distances.
Just to feel it.
But the environment that we have to train like that here, I feel like it's not conducive to run really far. There aren't trails.
Why do you say that?
There's no trails, mountains. There's nowhere to really journey through on a long distance. I mean, what am I going to do? Hop on the road and run out to Newburgh and back?
Yeah, why not?
That's not exciting to me.
But why not?
I'd want to find some trails. Like, it's hard on the body for one with all that concrete. I'm not going to stay on a treadmill for that long. And they're just like, so I'll go to Angel Mounds and run, and the loop there is like 3 miles. So to get a really, really long run, and I'd have to run that 15, 20 times.
How far away is the Hoosier State Park? That's not far. It's before Brown County. I think it's only like 45 minutes.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you condition to run to a marathon, it probably, like, and you're running a marathon at a faster pace, like zone 4 maybe, like, do you think you could double or triple the distance if you just ran
that's what I was
going to
say too. Running 120 miles, building up to 120 mile a week, 130 mile a week, I could run some of the ultra distances if I taper back correctly. It's just all about teaching the body to find the right pace, the right zone.
Damn,
once you're in that fitness
I wonder.
Pretty far
So
away.
we talked in like last week's episode, like the guy that wrote The Great Gatsby, he rewrote like the book of, like typed out the Book of Revelation like 5-6 times, and
Yeah,
then
Scott Fitzgerald, by the
kind
way.
of used that writing of it or whatever, 5-6 times to write, The Great Gatsby in like a certain style or whatever.
Mhm.
Do you think that like in order to tune yourself to a certain pace, you would switch like maybe the music you listen to on your trains?
For sure. I mean, people are just wired different ways. Some people are wired to hold that certain pace that would carry them through 100 miles. I'm really wired to run like half marathon fast or a 10K fast. Like my dad was a sprinter. He was a 400 meter dude.
Was he much bigger than you?
A little. He's probably 150, 140, 150.
Okay.
My mom's tiny. So,
You were built this way. Dude.
Yeah. So I like to run like fast over a moderate distance. And that's why like this, there's just different disciplines. 50 mile, 100 mile. I have so much respect for those guys and ladies that can do that.
Would you do it?
and
And then if you did do it, how would you do it? How long would it take you
to build to that?
to like, how long of a time would you set like, okay, I'm going to do 365 days of training and weight gaining and so on and so forth. Like, what's that even look
I don't
like?
think
You know
I don't
what
think
mean?
I would gain weight. I wouldn't gain weight. I would train just like I did last fall into the winter. Like I was rolling 130-mile week. And the week before that was 115. The week before that was 108. I had the volume to produce a really good ultra performance. But what I don't have is the correct fueling strategy. Because when you're running, say, 50K, 100K, 100 mile, my buddy Dave Eckert says it's all about fueling. You have to get the calories in to produce the energy output.
So your cadence and your heart rate and your pacing
Would just slow down and then you focus on fueling. Would be the discipline. Yeah, I'd probably just run with the leaders or run with the pack and just see how long I could hang on is what I would do.
Yeah, it's insane. So you think the farthest what's the farthest you've ever ran in one stint? Was it that
Probably-
race or that run with David?
Yeah, 30. I think we did 30 there, yep.
Damn. You sure you don't want to do this MCM? It'd be
It's
cool to
tempting.
watch you win it and then
Man, I don't know. That guy last year, I think he averaged 5:42 pace over it. Yeah. Just really
Is
good.
that even realistic for you?
Yeah, that'd be realistic.
That's realistic.
Because I
for
was
you?
like 5:37 through the Flying Pig Marathon.
and then
so
just
you're
stretch
adding
that out for another 5
5
miles.
miles, yeah. Yeah, it'd be good.
When you finish the Flying Pig, do you finish and you're like, I could do another 2 or 3 miles?
I felt good.
at that pace.
Yeah, I felt good.
You weren't like
yeah.
totally gassed and like collapsing, right?
No, and in my time, like for that build, I was just planning on running a marathon. I wasn't really building up to a marathon. I just was just training generally. And I think my highest week I ran was 85 miles for that one. So in like last season in December, I was up to 120.
I'm struggling at 30 a week. I'm being honest.
That's
with you.
okay.
30
It's a
a week
process,
is
man.
hard for me.
You have to respect your body. You have got to respect your body. It's a process.
I'm gonna try the stair climber out though. So I'm gonna start doing 2-a-days. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll probably go to the gym and do some anaerobic and like some stair climbing,
Stair machine is
and then
fantastic.
run in the afternoons. I'm just praying this cold weather goes.
Do you
the fuck away.
find when you don't run or work out that you have like crazy amounts of energy?
Yeah, like I'm super jittery right now sitting in this chair. I just want to go back out again.
I get
I'm
it,
not a
dude.
sitter, man. It's hard for me to sit down. I probably have ADHD really bad and all kinds of.
other psychological deficiencies? That's fine. We all do. No, I think it's interesting. How fast you are, the training that you take in, and the nutrition thing I for sure wanted to ask about, and that's really. Oh, and I was doing an experiment. The other day I did a 9-mile run, and I was like 8 miles in, and I was like empty, like my stomach. I hadn't eaten that day yet, and I was like starving. I stopped at a gas station and got a beef jerky, like just a single beef jerky.
How'd that
stick.
do? How'd it do?
Fine. Which I was surprised because I've never eaten like solid food. I mean, my pace dropped way down while I was eating because I had to like chew and breathe and like chew and swallow and not choke. But like short of that, once I was done eating, like I felt a shitload better.
Heck yeah.
Could you imagine doing that? Like on a
Yeah, so
doing
I think
solid?
what my body likes the most, as far as, and it's a super cheap little refueling deal too, is just a peanut butter jelly sandwich, man.
Oh,
like
no
just
shit.
crush a peanut. They're about, if you make one, it's about 400 calories.
Yeah.
If you look at the nutrient profile, you're looking at a good blend of
Carbs,
carbohydrates with the jelly and with the bread,
Yeah.
and then with the peanut butter, you have protein and fat.
Yeah.
So it's a really good blend profile there to give you 400 calories of energy. I would probably start eating those a lot more if I was running really, really far. pack 5 or 6 of those, and
5 or 6. I couldn't eat fucking 5 or 6
I
sandwiches.
just imagine like runners like having to like tilt their water bottle up while they run and like just let it splash them in the face.
dude,
or
there's
something.
with ultra running, there's so much stuff that like a blister can destroy you, man.
Dude, I'm
A
running
single
into
blister.
that now too. I'm getting a blister. So Moleskin is now my best friend. Have you ever used Moleskin? My best friend. But when the run is over, the Moleskin is destroyed.
Do you ever worry about like tearing up your feet? Like David Goggins' feet look god awful.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
people will have their toenails
yeah,
fall off.
I have 3 gone right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Compeed bandages, the best blister bandage that I found is sold at Walgreens. There's an endorsement there.
What's
Not
it
really.
What's it
It's
called?
called a Compeed bandage. They come in a little blue case, and they come in different sizes, and it forms like an extra barrier. Like you can put this new skin stuff on, but it
It's
doesn't
like
do.
super glue, basically.
Yeah, the new skin takes a while to dry. The Compeed bandage goes on immediately, and you won't feel any pain from an open blister.
Really?
Yeah, lifesaver. Absolute lifesaver.
So I got to get some new skin and some Compeed
Bandages.
Compeed bandages.
They're a little
Walgreens.
expensive, but
Dude, I'm telling you, like that is the
blisters.
worst.
Blisters, man.
That is
Especially
the
when you
worst.
get sweat in your socks, and then you're running on a
It's
trail
damp.
and taking those turns.
Yeah,
you
it's
just got to switch your
damp.
socks and shoes at that
Oh,
point.
so brutal. Like, and then I don't know if it's like, so I just started running in my Hokas like in the last like 500 400 miles or so, and I think I like them now that they're finally broke in like past the
Yeah, but
200.
now it's time to get new shoes. What do they say, 300 miles tops?
3 to 500.
3 to 500.
Yep, time
But
to get a new pair.
I feel like with Brooks's, they broke in faster because I was a big Brooks guy for the longest time. They would break for me after 80 miles. They would just be like formed to my foot. You know what I mean? Just well broken in. I feel like my Hokas, my first set, it was closer to somewhere between 100 and 200 before it like really felt like my foot belonged in there. But now 400 or 500 miles in, I'm like,
Do you feel like you had a transition from the Brooks to the Hoka because they have a different drop?
yeah, there's a much steeper drop on the Hoka than there is the Brook. I feel like.
Oh, really?
Like, I feel like
Okay.
the Hoka's heel is just like drastically.
Oh, you mean the
yeah, the
okay.
angle at which my foot is like just neutrally engaged or whatever. Like I just feel like it's the heel on it is just higher. My Brooks,
Yeah, the stack height.
stack height. Sorry.
Yeah, because
What were you talking about?
Well,
The
I'm talking about the
drop?
drop. So with running shoes, when you see them advertised, you can look at the specs on them. There's something called a drop, and it's how much of a difference there is between how high the heel is as compared to the toe.
Yeah.
So like a Brooks, I think they're around 10 millimeters drop. So almost like you can think of it like a heel, almost like a high
Yeah.
heel.
Yeah, it's kinda
Whereas the
what I was
Hoka is a 4 millimeter, and then the Ultra, which has the foot shape technology, you may have seen those shoes. It's a 0. So one thing that they recommend with the Ultra is you need to slowly progress into them because it's going to use your calf muscle and your soleus a lot more.
Yeah,
So you
my
could get
my
sore.
soleuses, dude, they've been feeling rough. I've almost been exclusively training in my Hokas now, though, and I am due for a new pair, like Tom just said, because I am near the 500 mile mark for 500 mile on these guys. But I'm nervous in what to go to. And what was the foot formed one you said?
Ultra.
Ultra,
And then Topo too. I think Topo 0 drop as well.
and it's just
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah, it's just flat. So it'd be like your foot naturally sits. Some people put like an insole and like an insert in there too. If
That's
you want,
scary. They're just like running barefoot.
kind of, well, you have the cushioning, but
Have you ran in those shoes? The toe shoes, whatever they're called?
oh yeah, I had some of those.
Do you
They were
like them?
interesting.
I thought about getting a pair.
I mean, they're okay, man. Your feet can take a lot of abuse, especially when you're running over a great distance on concrete. I don't think our feet were really designed to run on concrete without modern technology.
Yeah.
But like on dirt and grass,
Like trail running.
Yeah, I've done that like barefoot on soccer fields and whatnot, and it strengthens the feet pretty well.
Really? I've heard a lot about like barefoot running, and I've been interested in doing
I
it.
think they say when you barefoot run, only do like a mile or two.
Ease into it,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're gonna work the muscles, feet.
Your feet are gonna get.
But I think trail running might be something you should hit up Mike Smith and run a trail at Audubon with
He
him
would
one morning.
fucking
Barefoot?
destroy me.
I don't know about barefoot, but
He would.
You should come down
destroy
there
me.
with this.
He would destroy. You guys would just leave me in the dust.
no, they got. I'm really slow at running. I hate running, and like I kept up for a little bit, but then like I fell back, and like their chief stayed back with me and like kept my pace. It was
Oh,
pretty
is
cool.
Chief slow too, or no?
I don't know. We're all out there doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be with the slowest guy, whoever that is.
I'll
Most
go with you.
likely.
I'll be back way behind y'all. I'll just be enjoying the woods.
This is unrelated to running, but you were talking about like running barefoot. It reminded me of this fucking
Reminded you of your
TikTok.
childhood.
No, I saw this TikTok of this couple. They're all about like being barefoot, but
Yeah.
they get in trouble for like going into stores without shoes. So they cut the bottoms out of their shoes, and they just have the top, and they're barefoot.
They just cut the
Underneath.
soles out.
Yeah, and then they said they hold on to the edge so it doesn't flip up with their toenails.
That's a problem for Steve. He doesn't have a whole lot of toenails. So.
Yeah.
I think-
Some ultra
I
runners
think you're
wear
rocking
sandals.
like 5. You
Yeah,
got
I
5
got-
toenails, maybe
yeah,
6,
maybe
7.
5.
I think
yeah.
it'd be cool. Like, I think if I ever got like seriously into competitive running, like I think it'll be cool to do this marathon or ultra or whatever you want to call it. But I think my favorite thing is going to be like eating solid foods, running at a much slower pace because I'm not a speed demon. I'm just not like, but I can run forever. Once I get warmed up and my heart hits 120, 110 beats a minute, I'll go until the cows come home.
And that's ultra running, man. You find
Yeah.
that pace that you can maintain for the greatest distance.
Yeah.
You optimize your body over that distance.
I think my favorite part about the ultras would be like the hallucination stage you hit at a certain point.
Yeah.
Have you seen the people when they get to
They
that
go
point?
blind and stuff, night
Yeah.
blindness, and
They run into ditches and shit just at full speed.
or they'll just like fall over in a puddle on the trail and they'll just take a nap. Yeah, there's
Fucking out. They just
Yeah.
lose 2 hours off their race
Well,
for no
that's
reason.
some people have to sleep, and then there's the people that just don't, and they push right through it. It's
Oh.
wild.
It's really interesting. The training regimen for ultras is just fucking bonkers.
Do you think they'll come out so like how they're coming out with like a dirty Olympics to where like, you know, you're allowed to use performance enhancing drugs? Do you think they'll ever do races like that?
man. I mean, there's a lot of controversy about
Doping
like,
and stuff,
doping
yeah.
and ultra running
I just
because
wanna,
they
like-
don't test. So that's just a whole nother topic.
Marathon
but-
runner versus crackhead.
So
Honestly, I think it's a
That's awesome.
fair
you
race.
get a free baggie of meth and a TV at the starting line.
Where's this race held? Where's this race held? Is
Comes
this
in a
in
shopping
Evansville?
So hold on, you did say so they're not testing for doping in a lot of these marathons.
You have to check me on it, but I've read a couple articles where some of the ultras
They
like
have to do blood for that, don't they?
yeah. I mean, it's
And
super.
you've never
expen-
done
it's an-
blood.
It's an expensive process. No, I haven't.
Yeah, so you've never been tested.
Oh,
You could have been
I'm
doping
out.
this whole time.
Yes, I could have, but it's part of the ethics of the sport. You know,
Yeah.
you want to represent yourself
A purist.
factually. Yeah.
Like I'm a pure athlete.
You think I could sign up for an ultra and be like, look, I'm not competing. I don't want to give blood. Like, just let me do the distance. Y'all can pack up. I'll still be out here, but
Yeah, sure. They'd probably let you in.
yeah.
So in a lot of your marathons, there is like a minimum pace, right? In a lot of the
Yeah,
competitive ones,
they usually have
What's
like
the
a.
standard minimum?
I think
pace?
it's 13 and a half to 14
really,
on most of them. Yeah.
dude. I could
Yeah.
fucking crush that.
No, they wouldn't be packing up when you cross the line. They'd probably pack up for
Yeah,
me.
but why would you want to just shoot for the minimum, man?
Dude, it's just doing it. It's
Yeah,
just
you'll
doing
get it done. You'll get it done.
I feel really good at 10.
Yeah, you'll
my
get it
10-minute
done.
mile pace feels really good.
Was there ever a race that you started and like you got into it and you're like, man, I don't know about like finishing this?
Yeah, I did the
Came in
Lincoln.
injured or something.
No, it was the Lincoln State Park Trail Marathon back in
Illinois.
No,
no,
in
in-
here,
or just
just
Hoosier
north of
National
Hoosier
Forest.
National
Oh,
Park.
okay.
2018 or 17. It was a really hot day, and I started off way too fast.
Hot. Started hot.
I started way too fast, and I felt great.
What's way too
Fantastic.
fast? Do you
I
remember?
mean, I was probably running low 6-minute miles on that trail, which on a trail, I was right under an hour. I think I was at 55 minutes for the first lap, something like that. And I have the record for the 14K there at 52 minutes. So like me, like going all out on a lap was 52 minutes, and I was at 55 or 56 minutes for the first lap. I just felt great. And the heat and the conditions and the dehydration caught up with me so fast on that second lap. It was at mile, I guess, probably 16. that I started cramping up like crazy.
And you just kept trying to push through it.
And I kept trying to push through it. Finally made it around to the starting point for my third lap, and my muscles were just like visibly seizing and twitching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not about to pull out a race. So I walked that entire final lap.
Is it like, so like when you're leading the pack, is it almost like demoralizing when somebody
Oh,
passes
yeah, it's super
you?
demoralizing.
What's
super demoralizing?
Okay, short of just mental fortitude, though. I mean, I've been on a 13-mile when the calf is the worst for me. I just feel like because it bears most of the running stress. I feel like when my calf is in like a full lock, I mean, it feels like someone is driving a screwdriver from the back of your calf into your tibia. Like, what other than mental fortitude, what are you doing to adjust to a cramp to push through it?
I mean,
Like,
honestly, people say like little tricks like pickle juice and more sugar, but at that point, the body's so fried. It's just a neurological signal saying
Shut it up.
It's your body protecting itself. It's a protective feature. It's saying shut it down.
Yeah.
So just finishing any way you can, walking, hobbling, that's the point you're at. The pace is out the window. You just try to finish. So I walked the rest of that and finished.
So there's really no good tip or trick to like push through a cramp. It's mental fortitude and maybe some diet. But
you could stop and try to drink some water and stretch and maybe calm it down, or try to rest for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe to calm it down. But at that point, you just got to think like, my nutrition's off. My water's off, or my training. What I'm trying to do is just to usually, like, you'll read studies now. They're finding that cramping is just a result of you mentally think you can do what your body isn't ready for. You're trying to make it do something that it isn't trained up to do.
Your advice when that would happen would just be like, take that into consideration and look at what led up to that race and make adjustments for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sucks though. I think what does suck is whenever you really were fit for that time and you were running really well and the actual conditions just did get the best of you. Like, you see, like Chicago a couple years ago was super hot, runners were cramping up. They probably were fit and that pace was within reason on a good day, but the weather was so crazy, their body lost so much fluid, lost so much electrolytes that it just couldn't take it.
Do you think cognition plays into that? So like, you show up to the Chicago Marathon, you're like, 89 degrees, 20% humidity. You're like, okay, immediately before the race starts, like, can you compensate? Like, before the race starts, like, adjust your game plan. You can,
and that's what makes
you still have time to fix it though.
That's what makes good runners really good, because they know all the small little things that can affect their race, the conditions, and they adjust.
Tricks of the trade.
They know that field isn't going to run the projected time that the field is set to run because of the conditions on the day. So they adjust and they hang back. And then sure enough, at 18 or 19, when everyone's blowing up, their body hasn't received the same amount of trauma from those conditions.
It's better prepared.
And
I only really have one more question, but what's the hottest marathon you think you've ever ran, temperature-wise?
Hottest runs. Well, so in the summer, I can't think of a hottest.
Because you said you like the heat, right?
So in the summer, to prepare for good summer training, I wear layers. So I start my run with layers. And then usually we'll do layers for like 4 to 6 miles, like winter layers. You'll do short sleeve and then like a long sleeve and then a winter jacket. And then after 5 or 6 miles, I'll break that off.
You're a fucking madman.
That's how you get in good shape in the summer. And that's why I race really well in the fall, because, I'm putting my body through incremental stress like that.
And you're fitted too. You're used to moving in these layers.
Yeah, they're heavy too.
Yeah.
Which I don't do that every run. You add it in doses. You don't just say, I'm going to be tough, I'm going to be bad day, so I'm just going to put a bunch of, well, you're going to end up, with dry heaving or some type of heat-related sickness, or you're going to overheat. You got to add it incrementally. To where, you'll start with maybe 2 miles, and then maybe it's getting hotter and you can do 3 then. Then maybe your body adapts some more and you can do 5.
But so temperature-wise, ambient temperature, what do you think the hottest race is you ever ran? Have you ever done a 90 or 100?
I don't think so. Usually the races that we'll do in the fall, it cools off.
Yeah.
So then your body knows how to maintain its homeostasis or stays cool from so much heat training. You're super fit, lost all that extra water weight, etc.
Yeah.
So then you're fit for the cool race. I don't think I'd like to if ultra wise, I think the Death Valley 135 would be super cool.
That's hot.
Yeah.
And it's also dry. So it's pretty conducive for hydration. It's not pulling out of your body as fast as if you were doing 100 miles in southern Indiana, where the water in the air is conducive to pulling the water out of your body. So you dehydrate. I feel like a little bit slower and drier, deserty weather if you're intaking water. I don't know. That's my perception. But
So I've not done a lot of hot races. I do a lot of hot training.
Okay.
A lot of sauna work. Lots of training in the
I
heat.
like that shit. I love sweating.
Now cold training, oof, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not so into it.
Yeah, I did
Well,
not.
no body fat makes it a lot harder too.
Dude, I have to wear so many layers. It sucks.
I went on a run. I did 9 miles just the other week or something, and it was the coldest day that we had like within the last month, and I think it was 20. It was well below freezing. It was 21, 22 degrees, and it was a Saturday. I did 7 to 9 miles somewhere in there, finished the run, and went and got dinner with some friends after. But the rest of the day, I was just like cold to my core. Like I could not warm up for the rest of the fucking day. Like I was so fucking cold.
It's really good for you though.
I hate
It's good for
running
your
in the cold.
body to have to sort through that and shiver. It's
Yeah.
great for the body, but
I have PTSD
something about
from
brown
it.
fat as compared to white fat. There's a lot of studies on that, but
Mental trauma, I guess.
so how long will your build up be for MCM for the Marine Corps?
My goal is to be just running 30 miles a week and staying there with all consist. So 30 is my goal, because I feel like if I can run 30 in a week, I can do 30 in a day. My body is like ready to do 30 in one stint. In a perfect world, I'd like to be in somewhere like the 40s or the 50s in a week. But that's how I'm judging it, is just my hours and miles per week. So, like we talked a little bit before, Samuel Rice was telling me that your heart really only knows how long it's working and how hard it's working. It doesn't really know miles. So I'm trying to get used to running for 6 to 9 hours a week. And then once I get there, then I need to be focused on, okay, now how can I get up? Like, what does that mileage look like? And how consistent can I stay with that? And then hopefully by race time in late October, I'll be consistently running somewhere between 6 and 9 hours a week and hitting 30 miles a week every week. Surely by then, in 3 or 4 months, whatever it is, to October, 6 months, I don't know.
You've got a lot of time.
Surely by then I'll be in the 40s. Surely. I would like to think. So,
Any advice you would give to Brian as he's training for this?
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking about there, because I read something a few weeks ago, an article. It was in an Outside magazine, and it talked about how to know when you're ready for an ultra marathon, and also how to stimulate the fatigue and training that's required whenever you're, say, at mile 22 or 24 or 28.
How to simulate it?
How to stimulate it in your training, yes.
Oh, okay.
Rather than just going out and trying to run 30 miles on some random weekend to see if you can do it.
Yeah.
You don't do that in training.
No.
So it was talking about your training and running under fatigue. So instead of doing, like, say, a 23-mile long run to try to see what that feels like, on like Friday night, run 8 miles. The next morning, try to run 12 miles. So you already have 8 miles of fatigue in your legs, and the next morning you're going to do 12. Well, that puts you at 20 within 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, so we have 8, 12, and then on Sunday morning, run 10 again. So that's 30 miles. You spread it over 3 days.
In 60 hours or something.
Yeah, you spread it over like kind of 2.5 days, and your body's going to feel that fatigue. And so you've hit the distance just in that weekend.
Yeah.
And so you can see what it feels like. And
So
your body
the
will,
most I've done is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I'm training almost exclusively after work until recently. So on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the most I've done in a 3-day stint was I did 23 miles in 3 runs. I forget what it was. One of them was a 9-mile run though, and then between the other 2 days, I did what would be the remaining 13 miles. I don't remember. So
you say you got a total of...
In that week, that was actually this week. So in 3 days, I did 22 and change, almost 23 miles.
And you felt pretty good fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, but I also felt really good on the last one. The third run was the 9-mile, and I felt really solid. Could have went for another 1 or 2 miles, but time restriction. that's training for this stuff. You've got all these other requirements and things that you have to be at and things you have to do, podcast, whatever, work, life. It's just hard to cut out. Okay, I've got 2 hours, 10 minutes of prep, and then I'm on the road. So I get an hour and 50 of running or whatever. And it's like, how much can I get done? So when you start training these longer distances, and if you're as slow as I am, it takes a lot of time out of your day. So that's been troublesome. But yeah, I'm going to start training in the mornings and start working that into my regimen and see what that looks like for me.
Sounds good.
So, yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know what else you got.
Well, I was going to say, as we wrap up, any last minute shout outs, who's got you to where you're at and who's keeping you going?
Yeah.
My wife. She's my family, my wife. I've been married almost 9 years, and it's been a good journey. So, a really good journey. It's good to be on the fire department now too. I work with some great dudes, and they really push me too. So, make you really mentally tough. You never know what can happen. So,
you have to be, man. Adapt and overcome. Yeah, it's never straight and forward and dry. It's always you got to improvise and make things happen. So, thank you for that too. Keeping us safe, and I hope that your fire department journey is going well. I hope once you're out of training, you feel at home whenever you find your home house or whatever that is. I look forward to hearing back from you again, man.
Thank you, guys.
You got any questions for us before we wrap up?
Good luck with the Marine Corps Marathon if I don't talk to you, if I don't see you on the show again before October.
Yeah, if you don't see me after October ever again, I died. So
you're gonna make it. Just
I died.
Fine. You're gonna make it. You got the the drive.
Probably somewhere near the Potomac. Yeah, dude. You guys got any last minute questions? Are we good? All right, man. It's been a little over an hour. You could have done anything for the last couple hours, but you came in and sat down with us for a second time. I greatly appreciate you, Steve Matthews. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
This has been a thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And I'm Drew Head.
And this has been Senior Steve Matthews. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Hey guys, if you liked what you heard today, there will be a new episode next Tuesday, as well as every Tuesday at 6 a.m. So hit that subscribe button and let your phone do all the work for you.